Welcome to round 8, the thrilling grand finale of the Penrite ProMX Championship presented by AMX Superstores. And we are at the sunny Coolum in Queensland, an iconic track rich in motocross history that has crowned many champions dating back to the early 2000s, and where we will crown our remaining champions and wrap up the 2022 season with a bang. Hi, I'm Kate Peck, and with me is 11-time national motocross champion Lee Hogan. Hogs, how good is it to be at Coolum? What a fitting place to host such a grand event.
Well, Kate, it doesn't get any better than Coolum in Queensland. The weather, this sunshine is spectacular, and the track, it sorts everyone out. It is so tough here at Coolum.
Now, we've already crowned our first champion at round 7, Wilson Todd from HRC racing in MX2, but the battle is still brewing for P2 and P3 in the championship, and there are some very hungry Yamahas. Who is going to take that championship podium honours?
Well, first of all, it's a true credit to Wilson Todd to have wrapped up this championship with that much time up his sleeve that he can throw it in the mix there in the MX1, try to throw a spanner in the works and help Honda out. But yes, correct, it's down to some Yamahas to see who's going to get those minor placings on the podium. Reese Budd's looking in a great position at the moment, but we've also got to look at the Serco Yamaha boys, Bailey Malkowitz and Jesse Dobson, both riding fantastically well.
And the girls are back. Their last round, the MXW class, is wrapping it up, the championship right here at Coolum.
That's for sure. Now, obviously, Charlie Cannon has been a standout with the women's this year. She's fantastic. Taylor McCutcheon is on the gas this weekend. She's a little bit closer to the head of the pack and doing some really good battles in qualifying and the first race with what we've seen with Charlie. It's great to see and hoping for more of that.
Now, MX3, there is still so much fight at the pointy end. WA Sand Specialist Kyla Caden Minier comes into this weekend with a 17-point lead. But there is a very hard-charging Ryan Alexanderson coming up extremely quickly, and he is not going to give this championship up without a fight.
Well, not only Ryan Alexanderson, but also Jack Mather, a couple of locals from not too far down the road from Coolum. They're hoping to take it to the young Western Australian Caden Minier. It is going to be hard to stop Minier in the sand. 17-point lead. This kid, he's still got another year of juniors ahead of him. Amazing.
Now to the big guns, MX1, where Aaron Tanti, the leader of the championship, comes into this weekend with a 24-point lead, but it is going to be a ferocious fight to the finish line because HRC is throwing everything behind their boy, 3-time national champion Dean Ferris, who has just announced that this will be his last competitive race. There will be nothing left on the table here.
It really has turned into the perfect storm between these two, and for Dean Ferris to be announcing his retirement from racing, special moment for him. But if there's a team that knows Coolum and wraps up championships well, it is Craig Dack and his CDA Yamaha Monster Energy team. They know what to do. They handle the pressure exceptionally well, but this is all new to Aaron Tanti. He's the newcomer. He needs to finish it off. We've seen some slight little signs of nerves showing their head over the weekend as to how he's going to tackle these two motos. We're going to have to wait and see, but he's in a very good position to wrap up this championship.
All right, well, it's going to be an excellent round. Let's hear it from the riders themselves.
The 2022 championship has produced some epic battles, and it's all come down to this round here at Coolum. In the blue corner, Aaron Tanti. Over the red corner, of course, Dean Ferris. 24 points lead at the moment, but Ferris has all the momentum from previous race wins. This championship is not done yet. Still 2 more races to go with these guys. Cannot wait to see how this one pans out.
Yeah, look, I feel pretty good. I have a bit of room to play with, like you said, but yeah, Coolum's a tough one and it's definitely not over yet. But, you know, I'm riding well at the moment. My worst finish of the year has been 6th place, so, and I definitely got more room than that to move with. Look, it's just going to take a good start, I think. Ferris has been really good at the start, so I haven't got a whole shot all year. And every race that he's sort of been up the front, he's either whole shotted or been right up there. And if it comes down to the wire, I'm ready to put my elbows out and do what it takes to win this championship.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Feel good. I've had some good success here at Coolum. I know it gets really rough and tough and physical, and that seems to be my strength. It's going to take me, you know, to win and for Tanny to have some bad races. But given that this class is so deep with talent, if I just do my job right, and I'm really grateful to be in the position again to fight for this championship, and if it come down to a one-on-one brawl, I'd definitely be going all in.
A couple of riders still in the championship points hunt for that Thor MX1 class are a couple of the elder statesmen of the group, with Brett Metcalf and Todd Waters, in a case of KTM versus Husqvarna. Now, while these two, they're 6 points apart in the championship, it is Brett Metcalf who finds himself in that third place at the moment. However, he does find himself some 14 points behind Dean Ferris, who's second place in the championship. So will Coolum provide that backdrop to see if one of these riders can climb up a little bit higher in the championship? It is highly unlikely that either of these two will battle for that first place in the title, but a top 3 place is still up for grabs.
Now, I'm loving being a privateer this year. You know, the fans have really interacted well with me. They've accepted it. I've accepted that role, and I'm loving it. My passion for racing is back. I want to kick some ass tomorrow, definitely. I want to show that I've still got it. Even at 38, I can still run up there. You know, I'm not knocking on the door for another factory ride, but I would love more than anything to kind of beat those guys for sure.
So I'm looking forward to this round here. No doubt Maddie and I will find each other, and us old boys will be going for it. So I love racing here in the sand. It's one that you really got to grit your teeth and dig deep, so I'm looking forward to that. Definitely our goal for this weekend is to get back on that third position in the championship. You know, it's definitely in our reach, and it's never going to be easy with Maddie, but I'm looking forward to the challenge, and we're going to go out and fight for it.
I've got Scott Bishop, Motorsport Manager at Yamaha here. Scott, we're on the Moto 1 MX2 Reese Bud. Tell us about his gate choice.
Yeah, so Reese selected to come a little bit wider this time to avoid all the carnage in the first third, give himself a faster entry to the point. We need a good start here. He wants a good start, so that's the decision behind that one.
Okay, great, good one.
Thank you.
Well, Danny Ham, we're about to get underway here for Moto 1 of the Pirelli MX2 class. We're about to be in the starter's hands, and a 15-second board will come up. But before that happens, what a way to finish this series here at Coolum. The vibe, the atmosphere, and just purely how rough this track gets, it's phenomenal. Let's quickly take a look at the lineup for the Pirelli MX2.
It's Bailey Malkowitz was our fastest qualifier out there early on. Jesse Dobson, the two Serco Yamahas, absolutely flying today. Noah Ferguson, Hayden Smith, a name we haven't seen too much of, was also really ripping in today, and Nathan Crawford.
Well, Nathan Crawford's going to be hoping to find some of that form that we saw last weekend at QMP that gave him that double victory, that is for sure. Hugh McKay, Jace Cosford, just to name a couple down there in the bottom of the top 10.
I'm liking Reese's decision to be out a little bit wider on this start line. I think he can really sweep into this first corner well. It is quite fast, so that line out there is going to allow a bit of room to move. However, if those inside guys do jump out early, they're going to control that first turn, so it's going to be a tough one.
The start is super critical here at Coolum, of course. We are in the starter's hands.
Held a very long time as they launch out. Who is going to get it? Nathan Crawford looks well up the inside. Haruki Yokoyama also up there as well. Where did Reese Budd end up? He's back there in 5th. A good move for him.
Fantastic start from Nathan Crawford. Haruki Yokoyama looking very, very sketchy yesterday in time qualifying, I must say. But he's got himself one of those typical great starts of his on that Empire Kawasaki machine, dressed up in some of this nice pink colours there, I believe for breast cancer.
Hayden Smith was another rider that was also up there. A couple of riders down at the bottom of screen just there. It's a very fast left-hander. Yes, Hayden Smith up into 2nd place. Very sketchy over the double that first time around. The back end getting kicked very sideways. We've walked the track earlier on, Lee. There's massive ruts there. A big jump for these guys to do on such a short run-up, as we see Crawford now starting to extend that lead. He looks very good throughout time qualifying and even practice this morning.
Yes, looking fantastic is the factory KTM rider, and the 7-hole shot award going to Nathan Crawford, of course. The duration for this Pirelli MX2 Moto 1, 25 minutes plus a lap. So for those of you, unlike Nathan Crawford, who did not get the whole shot, plenty of time to come through the pack.
Now, in practice today, we did see this particular part right here for Nathan Crawford. Just got a little cross-rutted and the nose dipped down quite hard. He actually pulled off the track, took a second to think about what just happened, and back into it. So he's looking very comfortable at the moment as they go down this very long stretch. And you and I have both done many laps around here. That particular straight, end of moto, end of day, is absolutely hell. And we will see it become rougher and rougher as the day goes on.
When you get tired, that just becomes brutal, that part of the track. But let's face it, once this track roughens right up, there's not much of a chance to get any breather around the circuit at all. Now, quick mention, Jesse Dobson already made his way up into third place here. Now, he may not have been fastest in qualifying, but he was a rider that was always up near that top end, that pointy end of the lap times throughout qualifying. So expect to see good things from Jesse Dobson.
Another one of the Serco guys, Malkowitz, who was one of our fastest guys also. He sits back there in 13th, so a terrible start for him. Can he make his way through with the speed we saw yesterday in qualifying and then again today? He should be able to push through, but whether he gets up to the top three, and I mean, there's a big gap already. You just can't allow these riders to make this kind of time on you early on in the race.
And it's such a tough track to make passes on. You really do need to set up those lines from a fair way back, and you don't want to allow someone in front of you to make a mistake and take you down with them. Hayden Smith in second place on the gas, Danny Ham.
Yeah, doing an exceptional job again. We saw the speed out of him yesterday as he blasts down that back part of the track into this, we're about to head into that left-hander and this jump. It's meant to be a bit of a wall jump, but they're absolutely skying it off at the moment. Some of these riders trying to get all the way through to the second roller and really pushing it hard. But Smith, a brilliant ride at the moment, sits there in second. There is Dobson on the 14 machine, just trying to search for that rut, making sure both wheels lined up perfectly in it, and into that big long right-hander.
Now, as mentioned a little bit earlier in the opener, Danny, Wilson Todd's already wrapped up this MX2 Championship at the last round of QMP. He did that during Moto 1, did not have to come out in Moto 2. This leaves an open slather for our Yamaha boys to get in there and see who wants to claim that final spot. Championship points we see in the bottom right of the screen at the moment. Wilson Todd already wrapped it up with 311 points, but currently Reese Budd is on 249, Jesse Dobson 237, and Bailey Malkowitz 218, a little ways back. Ruki Okayama rounding out that top five.
Crawford looking the goods at the moment. The riders all battling this track as Smith has closed in just a little bit there in second place. It says 1.4 seconds, but visually it looks a bit tighter than that. They move their way through this left into these man-made rollers, which are just even forming up more and more as they go into that really long right-hand sweeping turn, and then into a pretty unique part of the track, the split section. Lee, did you get a chance to go down there and have a look at it?
You had a nice little look at that when we were about to do our track piece walk through there, and it's great. There's actually multiple parts of the track here where we have split lanes where you can choose either the inside or the outside. But a track like Coolum, this is a place where it can evolve and change very, very rapidly. So what might start out as a good line option in the split lane can swap around very, very quickly. You need to think on your toes, that's for sure.
Another lap down for these guys, and things are tightening up the front. Oh, Smith a little bit loose over the tabletop that time around. Another right at the bottom of the screen, just off track as well. As we see these riders coming around to complete another lap, this is really tightening up. We'll head down to Kate.
Yeah, I just spoke to Paul Teasdale, the mechanic for Bailey Malkowitz. He bungled the start, had banged bars with Levi Rogers. That's why he's so far back.
Okay, well that explains why we are seeing Bailey Malkowitz so far back. He's made his way up to 8th place at the moment, but still lots of ground to make up if he wants to get up towards the head of the pack. Mistake from our second place rider, Hayden Smith, who I believe you've just recently done a little bit of research, Danny Ham. He's a Kiwi, he's out of New Zealand, does a little bit of coaching. He's made his way over here to Australia for this particular race, as has a couple of other Kiwis in the form of Cody Cooper, who we'll see later on in the MX1 class.
I feel we saw him maybe last year as well. The name certainly came up another time in our championship. So great to see some New Zealand riders coming over here. We really missed that. We've had so many top New Zealand riders come over here and battle out our championships over the years. So great to see all of them back over here, really giving it to all the Australian riders and pushing them to their absolute limit. as we see Crawford again through the split section, heading down the back part of the track, still very comfortable, but now that Dobson sits there in second place. Do you think that we might start to see Dobson with a little bit of clear track start to close in a little bit and battle for that lead?
Yes, I believe so. The timing screen says 1.9 seconds. I think it's already started to come down a little bit to that, perhaps around that 1 second mark. And I know with Jesse Dobson's speed that we saw yesterday from him, I think it's only a matter of time until we see a bit of a battle between these first and second place getters at the moment.
Still 18 minutes left in this one as we look at the Pirelli leaderboard on the side. Of course, Crawford, Dobson, Smith, we've seen them on screen the entire time. 7:54 of Cosford back there in fourth place. So yet again, another great ride. Oh, a little bit of a kick in-swinger there for Dobson as he just made his way through that right-hand turn. But he's back there in fifth place. Yokoyama McKay, another good ride. Malkowitz has moved up to eighth. Ferguson back there in ninth, and Benny Novak back there in 10th place.
A great ride from Novak, and someone that was holding down 10th place was John Constantino. He seems to have dropped out of that top 15. He's down to 16th place now. So interesting to note what happened to Constantino there on the Empire Kawasaki. But no problems whatsoever with Nathan Crawford at the head of the pack. It looks to be closing up ever so slightly.
It is tightening up. The lap times had Crawford a slight bit faster on that last lap, possibly because of that mistake we saw by Dobson in the very final turn before they jump back onto the start straight, as we get this beautiful shot from our drone overhead, just showing how many lines there is. There's one thing at this track, Lee, is searching for those lines, trying to make sure that you pick the right one. You're heading into a corner, there's 12, 13, 14 different ruts. Knowing the correct one to go into can be difficult sometimes.
And quite often when you get one tyre in one line and the other in a completely separate line, you end up on the ground. So no problems at the head of the pack at the moment. We have got 16 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock left to go, plus a lap for Nathan Crawford on the factory KTM machine. He is coming off the back of back-to-back wins.
We've lost Dobson.
We have lost Jesse Dobson.
Now, I was just about to mention that the corner before, I didn't see him back a shot. The wonder is there's Bud there. Dobson's still not in sight coming through just yet. So somewhere around this last few corners, he's put it down and
doesn't look to be up and circulating again just as of yet. We haven't seen him come through. Is that...
not that we've caught. So that was Rogers just going through there. So yeah, somewhere around there, he's gone down. Unfortunately for him, he just started to look like he was coming into his own in this moto. And yeah, still waiting way back. Here's a good little battle though. McKay and Noah Ferguson back there having a great battle. 7th and 8th at the moment.
Well, unfortunately, Danny, that has been the backstory for Jesse Dobson this year. He's just had a few too many of these kind of mistakes. He's had lightning speed a lot of the time. But remember back at Wodonga round the Pro MX, we saw such a huge crash. And, of course, I believe he dislocated his shoulder there. So it's been a little bit of an up and down season for him. A lot of speed, but he certainly needs to iron out these mistakes.
Malkowitz sits just in front of these two. There is Yokoyama on the Kawasaki. Those short legs around this track, Lee, is certainly a disadvantage through these big rolling whoops, but he makes it work no matter what, although that bike is stepping out. There is Malkowitz trying to put the pressure on around the outside. Can he push a good line through here as they go into this split? Will they use the different lines? They do. How will they come out of the exit of this one?
Well, to Haruki Yokoyama's credit, as messy as it's looking from time to time, he is still somehow managing to make it work. But no problem whatsoever for Bailey Malkowitz as he slots his way up to a top 5 position.
So I'm just looking through our timing and I still can't see where Dobson has ended up. So we'll try and get some more information on that when we can, as we see the Yamaha rider of Malkowitz getting through there. That there is Ferguson, so he has made the pass. Or has he dropped back? No, he has made the pass. We've lost McKay. Also has gone down. There he is just in screen now, about to enter that left, looking down at his bike. So a small mistake of some sort there has dropped him out of that really good position he was in.
Well, Danny, if there was some track this year throughout the season campaign that's going to throw these kind of curveballs at the riders and cause all this kind of carnage, without a doubt, it is Coolum. So number 14, Jesse Dobson, resumed.
Yeah, so he must be back on track somewhere. So great to see that there's nothing there. He is in 27th on our timing. So that's good to see him still going around. Look at that front guard on this bike. It looks like it'd be ready to snap off. It's not looking the prettiest at the moment.
That's got to be a little bit off-putting as well. There's not many parts of the motorcycle that, as a rider, you can see while you're riding. That front fender is basically the one thing.
So that's Hayden Smith, who was sitting up there in second. He now sits in 8th place. So a lot of our riders finding this track difficult and ending up on the ground, giving away positions and inheriting second place at the moment. Jace Cosford, how about that? Straight up into second. Another fantastic ride by this rider.
Well, local Queenslander, who I believe a couple of rounds ago we mentioned did exceptionally well at a local race here, beating some of the big pro guns coming out on top. So, knows his way around a motocross track. Maybe not a name, like a household name that we expect to see up the head of the pack like Crawford or perhaps even a Reese Budd or a Bailey Malkowitz. However, still great to see him up there. The top 2 position, he finds himself 7 seconds off the race lead.
Well, Budd is back there in 3rd place, of course, for the overall of the championship. This is another solid ride by him. He still is in really good positions. The other riders that could contend for those minor places sit there behind him at the moment, which is exactly what he needs to do to maintain that 2nd place. So great ride for him. We see a Yamaha here on screen. That is Rogers by the looks of things. Levi Rogers back there in 7th place. Oh, Yokoyama.
Continuing to look a little bit on the sketchy side of Tsuruki Yokoyama, but he only knows one position for that throttle, and that is absolutely flat out. 11 minutes on the clock, still to go, plus a lap here on the Pirelli MX2 Moto 1. Your leaderboard, Crawford from Cosford, Budd, Malkowitz and Yokoyama round out our top 5. Noah Ferguson back there in 6th place. Great job by Levi Rogers there. And Hayden Smith continues to hold down 8th place.
Yokoyama fighting hard here to keep up there into that position. Malkowitz is slowly pulled away and moving towards Budd there in front of him, but he still sits 7 seconds back. Yokoyama's next battle, though, certainly will be Ferguson, as you saw him just enter the screen then on the 29 machine. Ferguson looking to that outside line at the moment. The 2 lines coming very close together. Again into this split section. Noah Ferguson on the gas. Nice little hop up over those first bumps, keeping it nice and smooth. Yokoyama again struggling. This is where Malkowitz made the pass the last time around.
A nice line around the outside. They're all, both riders almost coming together there. Kawasaki versus Gas, and completely opposite lines here. Another one of the split sections with a jump on the inside. A little bit of time lost there, unfortunately, for Noah Ferguson, and he will set his sights once again on the Japanese Kawasaki rider.
Still 10 minutes left in this moto. You can just see how difficult it is for these riders just to get over what is generally seen as a relatively simple jump just back there, that tabletop. Look at that back end dancing all over the place for Yokoyama.
Yeah, through Larocco's leap section there was quite clear to see just how much that bike is bouncing around.
Ferguson, the loser in that little stretch of straight. He dropped back just a fraction as they went down the main straight there. Of course, that's the start line as they re-enter across it. I think it's Rogers back there on the Yamaha, just landing off that jump, looking to the outside. And this double lead, so hard for these smaller bikes to get up and over.
Yeah, we really were discussing this double when we first turned up at the track yesterday, weren't we, Danny? And it's almost like a little bit on the big side for these 250s. Good to see them still giving it a go and landing on top. And as the track gets rougher and rougher, it really is going to put these riders to the test. Now, Danny, just wanted to ask you, let's talk about bike setup here in the sand. Someone that's done so many years, we've done so many years together riding hardpack, riding sand. Talk to us a little bit about bike setup for the sand. What do we change? What's the key areas?
So, of course, we've mentioned it many times this year, the paddle tyre, of course. This is what it's made for, these type of conditions, and I can guarantee you there's probably not one rider out there that doesn't have a paddle tyre sitting on there. So that's your first point. Always change your tyres, get as much drive as you can in this really loose sand. The other big part that you really need to focus on, of course, is suspension. Now, it's closer to a setting for Supercross. It's much firmer. It doesn't move through the stroke as much. You need that bike to hold up so you don't get this wallowing effect through these big rolling whoops. And that's why you can see such a, right here, how firm that suspension is. That there is your big thing. If you don't have those two things on point, you're going to have a very tough day at the office.
Great point. Suspension, super important. And of course, all of these big teams spend so much time in the sand to be able to get used to this type of environment and set their bikes up.
You know, we just got word through that Jesse Dobson actually might be going around too slow, not fit to continue. So
what's towards either, do you think mechanical, or do we think injury perhaps, and he just is fighting it to stay out there? So he's received the black flag, I believe, and told to come back in, circulating and providing a danger for the rest of these riders out there.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Again, because we didn't see what happened on camera, we can only speculate. So I really do hope it's not an injury. It is very possible to be a bike issue, but he's in the championship chase for minor places, so he is trying to minimise the damage, collect some points, and hope that the second race works out better for him. So the reason why he's out there would be that, but we just don't know the answer on that one, unfortunately.
Okay, well, we'll try to keep you up to date on that one. 7.5 minutes on the clock left to go. MX2 Moto 1 brought to you by Pirelli. Crawford continues to lead. However, his race lead is down to 5 seconds now over James Cosford, who has checked out a little bit over Reece Budd. It was only a moment ago that he was 1 second behind our second place getter.
The Honda rider just in the mechanics area. Then you can see the back brake pedal being pushed down. It looks like a classic ride the rear brake, boil the brake oil possibly, and there's just simply no brakes left on that pedal.
Looking very smooth, cool, calm and collected is our race leader, Nathan Crawford. Those last two corners, the switchback before coming onto this Coolum main straight, it's one of the trickiest and toughest parts of this circuit, and if you don't get your line selection right in that first left-hander, it becomes so tricky and you lose a lot of that much-needed momentum coming onto the main straight.
It is very hard to get around there, and as we said before, by the end of the day, the last moto, those last laps, it's absolutely terrible. So we've got word that Dobson may drop back to 4th in the championship. It's going to be it's going to take quite a ride to pick up those lost points going into moto number 2. As we see Crawford absolutely looking flawless at the moment. I mean, he was injured at the start of the year. What could have been? You know, he is, since he's come back, he's shown so much strength and speed. It's just, I can't believe, honestly, for a rider to come back from a femur injury like that, as strong as he has, it's incredible.
Yeah, an amazing job for Nathan Crawford. As we mentioned before, coming off the back of back-to-back wins at QMP. So he is staring down the barrel of making it 3 from 3. And he'll hope to replicate at this round here and get another double victory.
Down the back part of the track, making his way through the lapped riders to see how hard some of these landings are off this jump. As we look back towards where second place is, that could be him just there. The yellow went through. That was Cosford, I think. And then that's one of our lapped riders, 27. So the rest of the field make their way through. I think Budd almost just jumped in the screen there. The yellow rider just on the outside coming around. There he is, 7:54. Great pick up there by our camera crew to pick second place. So what a ride. I mean, Cosford, this is, as you said, we've seen him earlier on in this year do another good ride. This is exactly what we love to see from these riders.
And that was a very creative line there that he had on that far right-hand side. We had a selection of about 15 runs up the takeoff ramp to that tabletop, and he found the far right-hand side. Brilliant line there as he heads to the far outside, swooping into the Coolum main straight. Oh! Nearly loses the front end, and in turn, the back comes around and gives him a nice little fry. That would have got the heart rate up a little bit, Danny.
Just a little bit. Certainly did for us, and there's probably the big thing is it probably scared us more than it scared him. When you ride a track like this, it's so loose, you have to ride the sand loose and not let these little things worry you too much. Otherwise you become a tight rider, and then you pump up and life becomes hard. It's on the edge of out of control when you ride sand, as we just saw a moment ago. Some people handle it better than others. Me personally, I would have been scared absolutely out of my mind for that one. I was going down for sure.
Well, I was just about to make mention, it's crazy the different types of riders we have out there. There's certain riders who, this is just normal day-by-day life. To have a mistake like that, you remember the GOAT, the greatest of all time, Ricky Carmichael, there wouldn't be a section on the truck where he didn't have some kind of major incident. You'd ask him later on what happened, he's like, I don't even remember what happened there. His heart rate wouldn't have gone up a beat, whereas for me, I always like to try to keep it fairly smooth and calculated. So if my back wheel stepped out, I promise you, I knew about it. My heart rate was straight up to maximum RPM.
Yeah, that one gets locked away in the log as you come in. Oh, lap 2, corner 3. Did you see that back end step out? What, it was only just like 10 mil? No, it felt more than that. As we see our race leader, of course, still leading this one 7 seconds over second place. Man, what a ride again for Crawford. The 199 machine, factory KTM, moves his way towards the finish line with only 3 minutes left to go in this one. So we'll get a few more laps in this before we get the checkered flag. Right now, unchallenged and looking so good.
Well, he really is controlling the race at the moment, isn't he? And we've said it a few times throughout the series where multiple riders, and particularly Wilson Todd, we didn't see him check off into the distance where we may have seen a 30-second lead. He ended up winning by 10, 11, 12 seconds. And it's good to see someone have the maturity to be able to back it down a notch on a track that can very easily bite you. So 6.7 seconds is our lead now over Jace Cosford, and then a further 8 seconds back to Reese Budd, a further 6 seconds back to Bailey Malkowitz. So that little battle that we expected to see between Budd and Malkowitz, the two Yamaha riders who are still fighting it out for that last spot on the podium. Malkowitz with his pole position, fastest time in qualifying. I thought he might have been a little bit closer to Reese Budd.
Yeah, I thought so as well as we moved towards the tail end of this one. I thought Malkowitz was looking exceptionally fast through the qualifying, but as you know, as we've seen before with the likes of Ferris and that, the qualifying times, yes, they're important. They can be great mentally to give you some strength going into the race, but they don't mean everything. So as long as you're feeling comfortable in a race, you've got to do it lap after lap, and that's what we're seeing right now. For Reese Budd, he's doing everything right, sits there in third. Small mistake right there. That'd be one of those ones that didn't even register in the mind. But yeah, race conditions completely different to those qualifying times.
Well, that was a nice little foot dab there from Nathan Crawford, where his foot just got wrenched off the back of the bike, and that is why people at home watching, it is so important to ride with the balls of your feet up on the foot peg, because in the sand here, it is so easy to fold your ankles or your feet underneath the foot pegs and get them spat out the back way. And of course we know our feet are not supposed to bend that way. So it quite often ends up in a broken ankle immediately. Have a look at the feet on Nathan Crawford. Beautiful foot positioning and gripping super tight.
You see it just move forwards there to grab the gear lever to make those gear changes, and then straight away back into the balls of the feet. Quick change here on the up face. They're doing that so much better than yesterday.
Yes.
Honestly, through practice yesterday, there was some massively big moments coming off that landing ramp. And it's great to see that the club has gone back out overnight. They've reassessed it, made some changes to make that just a little bit safer for these riders to get up and over. And right now we can see it. It has worked a treat for them, as our race leader Crawford, of course, continues to hold down that lead. Cosford has eaten into it quite a bit over that last lap. But as you said, this part of the race, he's just controlling that lead.
It's looking fantastic out there, and we've got just over 20 seconds left on the clock. So when Crawford comes around this time, he will receive the 1 lap to go board. And what an amazing 25 minutes it has been so far for the factory KTM rider. He has not put a foot wrong. 5.8 second lead over Jace Cosford, who continues to impress back there in second place.
Yeah, good ride. Further 10 seconds back to Budd. So this is a not the championship, of course, but a second place championship ride for him to make sure that he picks up those very valuable points. Of course, we've seen Budd be up there so many times this year with some great results, so truly deserving as they sit on track at the moment. Reese Budd second, Malkowitz third. That is a 28-point huge difference, which can't be gapped in that last race.
Correct. So if positions stay how they are at the moment, a very well-deserved Reese Budd will hold down and lock in that second place in the Pirelli MX2 Moto 1. Last lap to go, 1 lap to go for Nathan Crawford on the factory KTM. The number 199 machine has done a fantastic job here and he looks so smooth and calculated in the deep sand.
Oh, didn't get the run out of the corner that time around for that double. What was that, right? Cosford plus 16, something. Yeah, that's looking at our leaderboard on the left there. That's a little bit unusual because we did see him down to 5 seconds a moment ago. It might be just a little bit of a mix-up. No, 2:03 lap time that last time around for Cosford. Yeah, something isn't quite right there. We'll wait and see it as we get a visual of it in the background. We'll try and pick it up.
Yeah, and that almost certainly would have dropped him back into the clutches of Reece Budd. As we can see, there's only not even half a second between those two. So nothing like a little bit of last lap pressure to come from our championship contender Reece Budd. Jace Cosford's done such a fantastic job. However, something has come adrift, some form of a mistake.
Yeah, well, that's just allowed Crawford a bit of breathing room and no pressure at all. He makes his way to the back part of the track for the final time in this Moto 1 through the auto light turn into Gabriel, left-hander, and this sky launch jump just here. It was great to watch some of the riders. Kate Minio, I saw absolutely throwing it down over that jump in practice. It was really good to see.
Out of the Pirelli left-hander, and have a look at those ruts. It was nice to see that time through. Nathan Crawford made it all the way through the rut. The lap before, he launched from the very bottom of the takeoff ramp, and his takeoff point was about halfway up the jump. And that way, you eliminate getting caught in those ruts and getting the back wheel kicked out sideways. That is not what you want to have happen to you as you approach the final turn. And here we go. Checkered flag is supposed to be out and comes out. And a nice little fist bump there for Nathan Crawford. A job well done for not only Nathan, but the whole of the factory KTM team here. Let's follow them through as we see. We try to pick up second, third, and fourth.
And Cosford, I think, has come across. There he is, yep, the yellow riding gear. So, confirmed second place for Cosford after what looked like it must have been a small mishap, unfortunate for him, but still maintains that second place. So, another great result for him as we close out Moto number 1, the Pirelli MX2. The riders make their way around to finish off their race. Plenty of time to go back to the pits, make those changes, think about what has happened in that moto, come out swinging again in Moto number 2.
We'll be certainly hoping to find out what has happened to Serco Yamaha rider Jesse Dobson. Of course, was circulating around. He got given the message, was circulating a little too slow. Had to get him off the track so he wasn't a danger for everyone else. We really want to find out, was it mechanical or was it physical? And of course, whether we see him out in the next one or not will play a huge factor in what that was. We can see nice and closely here our second place rider Jace Cosford on the end of his peak there. He's got that goggle lens taped on, Danny. And riders do this in the sand to try to protect those goggles and the vision. Let's take a look at the results for the Pirelli MX2 Moto 1. Nathan Crawford, what a win. Jace Cosford, second place. Reece Budd back there in third. Bailey Malkowitz holding on to fourth, and Noah Ferguson fifth.
Joe Constantino back there in sixth place. So he moved up after, must have been an incident early on. Isaac Ferguson with another good ride. Hugh McKay, after being up there, also back there in eighth place. Benny Novak as well.
A great ninth place there for Benny Novak. Hayden Smith 11th. Chandler Burns not bad there in 12th place. The riders list continues on just outside of the top 15. Jacob Sweet and Joel Phillips.
Well, it's a great way to start off our day here at Coolum as we take a look at the Honda highlights. And of course, everything is all about this all-important start. And the person that did it the best was the 199 machine.
Just saw Levi Rogers spat out the back there, and that was because he got collected with Bailey Malkowitz. That explains Malkowitz's issue.
The rookie Yokoyama also got himself off nice and early to a good start, as too did the 14 sitting there in third place of Jesse Dobson, but unfortunately that wasn't to be. There was it looked like a bit of a moment for Smith, but he managed to hold on, and a great start for him for Moto number 1. Unfortunately, he didn't have a moment himself and moved back to see the 199 machine. It looks like there is our answer. Bike issues by the looks of it. He does not look to be injured at all.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what was going on there. Whether that was just a little bit of a bike tip over or what was going on. So anyway, great little grab from the camera crew to be able to get that. They were probably ducking and weaving, and that was the moment where Jace Cosford nearly hit the deck.
Plenty of other riders also finding it difficult to get around here, and the final moments for Crawford as one of the lap riders tried to throw themselves in front of him. But it wasn't to be a great win by this man as we head down to Cape with our winners.
Reese Budd in P3, great ride and very important championship points for you.
Oh, definitely, you know, that's the goal, you know, I want second in the championship. Went out there, put myself in a good position off the start, did what I had to do, so, you know, I made it a little bit easier for myself in that second moto, but, no, I'm super happy with that ride. You know, the start of the year, I would have been getting smoked by 10 seconds a lap, so to be up in the mix is unreal today.
Yeah, okay. Good luck for the next moto.
Thank you.
And in P2, Jace Cosford. Wow, what an excellent ride. What happened at the end? Great lines though, good start. Tell us about your time out there.
Yeah, had a decent start, you know, I think it was like top 5, top 10, somewhere like that, and I felt really good at the start. I was making passes and just, it was all coming easy, so I think I moved into second, and then, yeah, I could see Nathan in front of me, and I was sort of, me and him were about the same, just a bit of a gap there, and yeah, not gonna lie, I was getting pretty tired and my arms are pumping up, and I was just trying to rotate. I ended up going wide and into a soft right and just went to lay it in, and there was nothing to it and just fell over. So I was super happy to hold on to P2. So yeah, I must have had a little bit of a gap there. So yeah, super happy to be up here and represent all my sponsors and yeah, everyone who helps me out. It means a lot. So yeah, thank you very much to everyone who helps me.
Yeah, well done, another great ride this season. And in P1, coming off some serious momentum from QMP on the KTM, Nathan Crawford. Bravo.
Yeah, that was a good race. Just ripped out a good start. Yeah, I couldn't have faulted that one. Honestly, I got out the gate and I couldn't see anybody in my peripheral, so that was pretty cool feeling. And honestly, just put like 3 or 4, you know, clean hard laps down at the start, and then from about 15 minutes in, I was just honestly trying to conserve energy for this afternoon because yeah, the second moto is going to be tough, and yeah, I think you know, conserving a bit of energy there at the end of that moto is definitely going to help in the long run.
All right, well done. Congratulations, Nathan.
Thank you.
Well, another fantastic win for Nathan Crawford and the factory KTM team, putting it up on the top step of the box. And of course, Reese Budd cementing that second place in the championship.
Great to see terrific results for this one as we take a quick look at the Pirelli Championship. MX2, of course, Wilson Todd was the winner of this one already. Reese Budd cements down second. Bailey Malkowitz there. Jesse Dobbs not too far behind, so it's still down to these two guys before this championship's done.
Well, incredible job for these riders here. We have got race number 1 of the Pirelli MX2 in the books. Don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we have got the women MXW class, moto number 2.
Penrite, a 100% Aussie company, pride themselves on their commitment to all forms of motorsport in Australia, from the very grassroots to competing and succeeding at the highest level. It's always been a big part of their DNA. And this real-world testbed for their products ensures the lubricants and fluids you buy for your vehicle have benefited from the development of being punished in a way that only competition can. Penrite, it competes, you win.
AMX and Penrite have joined forces to give away the ultimate moto workshop valued at $5,000. You can set yourself up with the best from Penrite, NetPro, RHK, Motion Pro and much more. To enter, simply purchase any Penrite product at AMX Superstores, scan the code and you're in the draw to win. It's that easy. What are you waiting for? Rush in now to AMX for your chance to win. AMX Superstores, your one-stop shop for all motorcycle accessories, proudly supporting the 2022 Pro MX Series.
race to the front with the all-new Maxxis Motocross tyre range. The next-gen MX lineup features racing-specific compounds and advanced tread patterns that maximise traction at the highest level of racing. Leading product innovations extend across the entire MX range, offering a premium performance option for all types of terrain and conditions. Put the all-new Maxxis MX range to the test.
I'm with one of the fastest female motocross racers in Australia, Emma Milicevic from HRC. Emma, we had our first ever Easy Lift MXW Racing Academy yesterday with the aim of the game to get more women lining up on the gate. How did you find it? Because you were one of our ambassadors.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I was an ambassador, obviously trying to help the girls that, you know, a bit more new coming to the Nationals, but I know myself as a top level rider, I learned so much out there, you know, about the facilities that are here from the top racers like Metcalf and Waters, and even talking to Charlie about, you know, her approach to the race. I think it was really good as a female racer to have that support at the race. So yes, it really hats off to most like in Australia.
Cool. And now let's take a look at these new graphics. Because your bike is looking pretty tidy, but what's also looking excellent is this new CRF 50F.
Yeah, it's cool. It come out in the new Ross White. I think it's a great addition if you're wanting to change it up, not get the, you know, same old red, which I personally love red, but if you want to mix it up, get a pink bike. This new 23 model, limited edition. I thought really cool edition, if I'm honest.
And your bike looks excellent too.
Yeah, it definitely stood out on track today, so I'm happy with it.
Now, I also wanted to quickly chat about the fact that you guys are racing. The MXW class is racing here to wrap the season, wrap your season. It's been action-packed all year long.
It's been great racing all year. Such a high caliber of women racing now, and what better way to finish it in the sunny state. You know, it's nice coming up here in the nice sunshine, not in the cold, and on an amazing track. So it's a really great weekend so far.
Well, thank you for joining me, Emma.
No worries.
Well, great to catch up there with Emma Milicevic, a great ambassador for women's racing, of course. Well, we are about to go for the AMX Superstores pole shootout. Some of the biggest names in the sport of Australian motocross, Danny Ham.
Of course, at the moment, none bigger than this one as he leads the championship on the number 9 machine. That is Aaron Tanti for the CDR Yamaha Monster Energy crew. And watching the riders earlier on, Lee, it's going to be a good race. There's some riders that we thought maybe should have looked a little better or a little more comfortable on the track, and there's some other riders that kind of surprised us. So I think it's a little bit up in the air as to how this one's going to play out at the moment.
Yeah, some riders looking exceptionally comfortable in these conditions, like your Todd Waters, your Kyle Websters, and surprisingly your Wilson Todd is relatively new to the MX1 category. However, there are a few out there that were a little bit like a fish out of water, so to speak, at the moment. So we'll wait and see how that plays out. But on the screen at the moment, Aaron Tanti on the CDR Yamaha Monster Energy bike. He is hoping to make this a memorable weekend for him.
Leads the championship at the moment by 24 points. There is that big launch out into the second roller that we mentioned in the previous race. A nice comfortable lead going into this one. However, Coolum can play some nasty tricks on riders and bikes. So this is certainly not done. And he will take a few or a couple of good results by this man to make sure he locks in that championship for this year.
Now that looked a lot better through there, Danny. I watched Aaron Tanti very closely yesterday during practice and qualifying, and he was really struggling through that chicane before coming onto the main straight. So things looking a lot better for the Yamaha rider at the moment. And just a quick update for those of you tuning in to our live stream. We've just heard that Jesse Dobson on the Serco Yamaha machine popped his shoulder out, a shoulder dislocation. The Race Safe crew have popped it back in for him. He attempted to go back out once again, however, was not allowed to go back out because he had left the track, got that done. So unfortunate news for him, it'd be devastating. Good news for us though is that hopefully we will get to see him out there in that second moto. I believe, we haven't had confirmation, but from the sounds of things, it could be that separated shoulder that he damaged at Wodonga, where he came back out again in the second moto.
Yeah, it's we thought he was done for the day down there, and then he came out and surprised us with an absolute ripper of a result. So don't count him out just yet. We'll wait and see as we look at our riders on screen getting around there. That is, of course, Tanti. Now, these guys are all out there re-qualifying. The top 10 of our fastest qualifiers moved into this pole shootout right now. They re-qualify again for their starting position on the start gate, or the selection on the start gate. So this could be a massive advantage to you, or it could be a disadvantage depending on how this session goes for you. As we see Kirk Gibbs there, the KTM rider, coming around and trying to find those lines nice and early. They are on their first flying lap, and we will keep an eye on it. At the moment, though, it looks like Kirk Gibbs could be the quickest as they head towards the finish line, and they will wait and see as they cross over.
Super fast through that section there, slamming into that left-hander before making the right onto the main straight. He's about to go over the timing loop right now, flying across, and he will go to the top of the leaderboard with a 1:42. A blisteringly fast time.
Have a look, keep an eye on that, because it's about to dance around that leaderboard as we see Wilson Todd is about to come over the finish line as well, and he is absolutely flying at the moment. A 1:42.8 is the fastest time. Of course, we see that by Gibbs. Waters jumps up there in the second place. Can we see Wilson Todd, as he crosses over, jump up there and get himself a fast time in this one as well?
Doesn't Todd Waters look good in that yellow and white at the moment? Just mixing it up, giving us some different gear colours.
Actually, I think I was looking at the wrong time there, Lee. It wasn't Wilson Todd. He's well and truly off the pace. It might have been Waters that I was looking at. So, one rider just going back to the pits already. It's unfortunate for him.
Yeah, Todd Waters there in that almost a green and gold setup, running that ISDE jersey, will get to represent Australia in the not too distant future. Wilson Todd's on a flyer at the moment, letting it all hang out.
Yeah, so maybe that first lap just to have a look at the track, find out where those lines have formed up. It's been a little bit since they've been out there. Oh man, he is fighting, pushing so hard at the moment. Now, the last round, he said, after his qualifying time, he would be lying if he said that bike didn't get away from him more than once. And I can tell you what, it is trying its hardest at the moment to get away from him once again, as we try and keep an eye on these splits. Ferris, at the moment, in this particular lap, has done the fastest first sector. So at the moment, he sits down there in 9th place. Can he continue that pace through those next couple of sectors and get himself a better starting position than he currently sits at the moment?
Well, Wilson Todd tried to ride that bike like that for 25 plus a lap, and we will see some interesting things happen, no doubt, that's for sure. Kyle Webster out there, a rider who certainly knows his way around a sand track without a doubt. He has found himself up the very pointy end of all of the time schedules in every practice and qualifying so far this weekend.
Todd there, still fighting that right, absolutely throwing it everywhere. This is one thing that you see with sand riders is the smoother riders generally are the quick riders. The mistakes and the looseness of Wilson Todd, will that hurt him? As
second place, second.
Yes.
He was on a flyer, but it wasn't quite fast enough, and Kirk Gibbs relegates Dan Ferris back to third. Wilson Todd goes to the top. Nice little switcheroo there on our top 10.
Well, it'd be interesting to see that guy right there, 96, return to racing last round, and had a bit of a tough day, but this here certainly should be more his home sort of feel. He is quite comfortable in sand. Will he be able to put it up there and get a quick one? I do want to bring up, though, Dean Ferris. He did just set a very fast time, moved up to the third. That is good to see, because he was one of the riders that didn't look so comfortable early on today. It looks like he is finding that form, and at the right point of the time of the day as well.
Yeah, without a doubt, this is Kyle Webster's domain. He loves this stuff for sure, so we expect big things from him. Just painting the picture for everyone, Danny. Talk us through comfort speed. It's one thing to be able to go out and do certain lap times. Wilson Todd has consistently done some 142s when it comes to qualifying. But what I'm talking about is your Dean Ferris, your Kurt Gibbs and your Waters, the 42s, 43s that they're doing, and Tanti has been 45s. Now, that comfort lap that I'm talking about, there's almost a couple of seconds between these riders. Just as I say that, Aaron Tanti goes up to a 142 as well.
And Gibbs just come across the line there. He was going so fast. He was under the fastest time for the first two sectors. Blew it apart in that very last one, so he maintains third. There is that gear that you spoke about just before, Lee. The green and gold, what he'll be wearing at the ISDE, representing our off-road championship, representing Australia. So great to see him out there doing as well. The 81 machine, Joel Evans, great to see him out there, and I did see him in practice also looking very comfortable. Webster is up there into second place. Now, just getting back to what you were talking about as the checkered flag was out. Yes, it's one thing to do very fast single lap times. Quite often, though, to be able to maintain that kind of pace for the entire duration of a moto is simply, it's not sustainable. And I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the 20 machine there that we saw, the fastest guy, the lap we saw, could he do that for 10 minutes, let alone 25?
Yeah, that looked like that was just pulling a rabbit out of your hat. To be able to do that and to actually keep it on two wheels, great job to Wilson Todd. He has featured up as our fastest rider back-to-back qualifiers in both QMP and here at Coolum, Danny. Kyle Webster likewise. It really has been a common theme between those two, first and second in qualifying.
Wilson Todd, as we said, did get the fastest time, and that's also a good thing that from there he can back it down and try and find that comfort zone and still be fast. So no doubt it is very important to get those qualifying times. As we see Waters just making his way around to complete his session, and I'd say he'd be taking advantage of the track conditions at the moment, trying to learn those lines. As we look at these results for the AMX pole shootouts, and of course it was Wilson Todd the fastest, Kyle Webster, Aaron Tanti, good to see up there in third, Kurt Gibbs, Dean Ferris, our heavy hitters are all up there. Needing to be comfortable on this track.
Todd Waters back there in sixth place. Not bad from Joel Evans there in seventh, ahead of factory star Hayden Melross on the Gas machine. Crowd coming in here today at Coolum, lining the banks. We expect to see our biggest crowd of the year here for the final round.
I did want to mention Zachary Watson, also another privateer up there, actually getting a great result in ninth place. So good to see him up there as well as to Hayden Smith. And as you mentioned there, the crowd enjoying their advantage points all around here. This great circuit, you get to see absolutely everything from the sidelines.
Well, Wilson Todd will be getting used to this qualifying on top of the leaderboard. All right, Danny, let's take it down to Kate.
The AMX Superstores Pole Shootout Award goes to Wilson Todd. Wilson, it looks like you are loving this 450 and this terrain. Was there more in it for you out there, or were you at your max capacity?
There was definitely a bit of time out there. I made a couple of mistakes. I went down on the first lap I was going to do there, but got back up, and I didn't think it was that great, but pretty happy to see us first.
Can we translate this to race pace?
I hope so.
So do I. Okay, you enjoy this check, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, he's got a couple of them to log into his local bank. That is for sure, Danny Ham. Congratulations to Wilson Todd, taking a win here in the AMX Superstores Pole Shootout. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, it is MX3 time.
New CRF 250R. Lighter, faster, stronger. Ready to help you find your edge.
always impressive and chaotic Maxxis MX3 Championship, mixing juniors and seniors, is still to be decided. And these are the three young guns battling it out for the 2022 MX3 crown. WA's sand specialist, 15-year-old junior racer Caden Minier on the KTM is leading the championship by a healthy 17 points. This kid means business.
Yeah, I really wanted the championship this year. Me and Mum, the whole family, we've put in a lot of effort. Dad working 2 jobs to be able to afford me and Mum to live over in Victoria. My brother's sacrificing everything, not having a mum. Yeah, I just really want it and I've put everything into it. No, I'm not really that nervous coming into this round. I'm coming in really confident. Sand, that's my go-to, and yeah, I'm just really excited. Yeah, it'll mean a lot to us all. Dad's put in so much effort. Mum moving over, like I said, sacrificing a lot, and yeah, it just mean the world. Yeah, all you boys, you're going to be looking at the 66 on my back number and eating my dirt.
Closely nipping at Caden's heels in P2 is Gold Coast hard-charging number 62 senior Ryan Alexanderson. Proving himself after a tumultuous year with 6 moto wins, his eyes are set firmly on that MX3 Championship crown.
Yeah, we want it really bad. We've worked all year towards it, had some up and downs, but we've definitely sort of started to peak the last few rounds, and we definitely come in strong for this round. We want it. Yeah, worked very hard last this whole year. Started from December, put the work in, week out. Every day just trying to obviously eat a great diet, get my fitness and strength up to speed, and training with 00 Elite Rider training. So yeah, put a lot of work in. Yeah, it meant a lot winning this championship. Obviously that was the goal from the start of the year. Everything's sort of leaning towards it for me right now. My starts not help, but it just fuels me more just to fight through the pack and just still win the moto. It just makes it a whole lot better. You have to work your way through and just know you earn your spot when you get the first place at the end of the day. Been training super hard, coming this weekend, hope to go out the win on the weekend, go out the win on the championship, so we're coming for it.
Rounding out our fierce top 3 is the talented Queenslander number 43, Jack Mather, on the Husqvarna, who has a handsome 8 moto podiums for the season.
Look, I want this championship really bad. Like, this is my home track, and I love this track. We're still in this, we're still in the fight, and I'm really looking forward to some racing. So this year, me and my family made the decision to leave school this year to focus fully on my training with Fort Dale, and I feel like it's been working a lot. Me and my family, we sacrifice a lot, but we love the sport and we love what we do. It would mean the world to us. It's something that we work hard towards each week, and yeah, it would mean Mum, Dad, and my younger brother, we'd all be stoked. Caden and Ryan, I'm coming for you. This is not over. I love this track. Let's do this.
One thing's for sure, no one will leave anything on the table.
Well, it's almost MX3 time here, that is for sure. These guys are going out doing their warm-up lap at the moment. Let's quickly go down to Kate.
Got Dylan Minier here, Caden Minier's dad and mechanic. We're coming down to the wire. How is he feeling? Is he feeling prepared? Is he so hungry for this championship?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, definitely, Kate. He qualified first. He's been fastest in practice, and he loves the sand, so we're glad to be back in the sand, I tell you.
Okay, good luck out there.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Yes, absolutely. Good luck to the Miniers for sure. Caden Minier planning on wrapping up the championship today, but well within range of possibly wrapping up the championship here in this first moto, Danny Ham. All he can do is go out, try to get himself a win. He's been fastest in every single practice and qualifying session here in the Sandy Coolum circuit.
It's good to see that also this man on screen has been there to challenge him through those qualifying and practice sessions. Both of these riders looking very good. As we mentioned before, Coolum can be a cruel place sometimes. Hopefully it doesn't go that way, but championships are decided here. Things change just at the drop of a hat. I'm really looking forward to see how this one plays out. But you're right, what a position to be in for Minier. He is comfortable in the sand. He has a points gap going into this race. Probably couldn't have asked for a better position to be in.
Correct, and starts are so important here. His starts have been reasonably good in the last few rounds. However, it hasn't been quite up near that pointy end of the field in the top 3. We are missing one of our mainstay riders here, Connor Towell, who is out with a broken collarbone after that nasty crash at QMP. Now, he's been a rider that we've seen so many times up the head of the pack in the pointy end of the field. But really, it's been the Husqvarnas, Danny, that have got so many hole shots, and a lot of them they've been 1 and 2 going into the first turn in the shape of Jack Mather and also Brock Flynn.
Yeah, those guys, the amount of hole shots or good starts, it'd be hard to beat both of them. As we see them all line up now, I believe, listening to some content leading into this one, that we should be expecting some big things out of also Flynn and Mather in this race as well. They do a lot of riding here in Coolum, I believe, and I think that they could contend, especially if they get themselves off to a great start. As we see the riders all jumping into their positions, the final couple of the riders getting there. We won't be too far off the start of this one as we take a look at our Maxxis Tyres MX3 start list. Of course, Brock Flynn is up there, Liam Owen, Miles Gilmore, Caden Minier, Ryan Alexanderson are your 5.
Ty Keane back there in 6th. Kobe Drew, 7th fastest. Jed also, Brian Fitzpatrick, and Logan Denise.
Jed also looking very good out there earlier on today. There is Jack Mather on the 43 machine. Byron Dennis too. Another rider that could be up there called Cooper Holroyd also looked very well.
So Byron Dennis and Jake Cannon there, a couple of riders that we were seeing well up in the top 3 at the last round at QMP, struggling ever so slightly here in the deep sand of Coolum. Cooper Holroyd also there. Cody Kilpatrick, Connor Rosenditch, Giles Campbell, Jack McLean.
There are so many talented riders in this field, and it's really shown how great this class is for the development of all of these riders as we take a great look down the entire list, or the entire field, as they get set for the start of this one. 5-second board goes up. Who's going to jump first, get to that first turn and grab that whole shot?
All riders tagged the back and gone down just out of the gate. A great jump there from Caden Minier, who's certainly up in the top 2 at the very least. Brock Flynn, another Western Australian there, heads to the inside, and he will have got himself the whole shot. But Minier around the outside and launches the double. Lands smooth, and he will make his way into the lead.
Wow. Oh! Down he goes, just like that. Alexanderson jumps to the inside, makes the pass. Another rider down to the back of him. This is exactly what we speak about here at Coolum. Things can come unraveled. Now, he has got some work ahead of him. It's not over for him, but he has got a lot of work.
Well, so many times throughout the year so far, Danny, we have seen Caden Minier side saddle that KTM, and he's managed to hold on to it through thick and thin. Not the case here in the early stages of Moto 1 at Coolum.
Wow, I honestly thought that was one I thought he was going to save. Certainly dove it in there. The front wheel got buried. As we see, Brock Flynn, the 60 machine. Again, we said he should be up there in the start. He has done plenty of riding around here as well. I think he is going to be a very hard man to beat. Dennis back there in 2nd place, and Gilmore, the 2 guys you mentioned at the lead into this.
Well, the key players in the championship, Jack Mather is back there in 9th place, Ryan Alexanderson in 7th, and we need to try to pick up currently where we find our championship points leader, Caden Minier. So we will try to bring you up to speed with where he's at the moment. We've had our gas rider, that looked to be Byron Dennis, that's gone down.
30th over this last split for Caden Minier, so he has so much work ahead of him. As we look at the Matrix Whole Shot Award, it is the 60 machine, Brock Flynn, that will take it on the Husqvarna once again. Another great start as our riders work their way through here. Nice long shot to try and maybe pick up some of our riders towards back. That was Holroyd that just came through there. Also on the 42 machine.
So an absolute mountain of work to be done by Caden Minier if he wants to get up towards that pointy end of the field. He's got some serious damage control to do in a case of a little bit too much red mist in the goggles, Danny Hamm.
Alexanderson, I always get that wrong, I apologise. Alexanderson, though, he needs to get up there straight to the lead. We've seen such great rides out of him all year long, being able to work his way through the field. He needs to take advantage of this situation right now. This is his opportunity.
Okay, now Caden Minier already up into that top 20. It's going to be a case of, we know the track speed from Minier. We know how fast he is. Here's a young kid, only 15 years old, and juniors, still another year of juniors to go. Let's watch this crash. It stepped out to the side, it grabbed, piffed him over, and Ryan Alexanderson was one of the few that had to exit stage left to miss that KTM. Here's another view.
Complete yard sale after this moment. So yeah, the back end just stepping out, dove in. And then have a look in the background. Riders over the top, off the track. There is Mather. He also got caught up in that situation as well. So that'll explain why he sits so far back at the moment. But he is back there in 6th now. So he is working his way forward, taking advantage of this opportunity as well. We have 16 minutes 34 on the clock. A small moment there by Alexanderson as he went over the tabletop. The back end just clipping the edge of the rut.
Now, Danny Ham, I've got some information for you. As they sit at the moment, Ryan Alexanderson, 262 points in the championship. Caden Minia, 265 points in the championship. About 5 seconds ago, before Minia made 2 spots, it was 262 as well.
That's going to change that quick right now as we see Gilmore here on screen. The 18 machine after a great ride. The last time we saw him on track at QMP as well. He sits there in 2nd place as Flynn starts to stretch that lead out. 2.7 seconds. 4.7 seconds back to Alexanderson on the 62. And then a further 2 to Fitzpatrick behind them.
Minia up to 14th place. Now, bearing in mind, 15 and a half minutes on the clock. The duration for this, the Maxxis Tyres MX3 class, Moto 1, is only 20 minutes plus a lap, as opposed to the MX1 and MX2 categories where we see 25 minutes plus a lap. It is only 5 minutes difference. However, at the end of these motos, 5 minutes feels like an eternity.
Gilmore, nice style there, standing up high on those pegs. Dives to the inside, picks a line that hasn't been used too often. Certainly keeping it in check. Flynn just there in front of him. They've actually dropped back Alexanderson. He is now 6 seconds back after 4 seconds the lap previous. So these boys up front are certainly running some quick pace, as our lap times will confirm that. The fastest lap was that last time around for Brock Flynn. He is quickest on track at the moment. There is the points at the bottom.
Well, a couple of Western Australian sand gropers, Danny, at the head of the pack. Should be no surprise whatsoever. Little exit off to the side of the track.
Oh, this could get bad.
Oh, that was...
yeah,
he did the right thing. He slowed down. He made up no time whatsoever. It was actually more of a risk for himself to crash.
Yeah, well, there was a moment over the tabletop leading into that one, just jumped off to the side of the track and had no way to enter back onto it. That is quite high. We walked it earlier. It's probably here. Have a look at this. Sorry, it was just a little bit front
sideways
high.
And then off the side of the track.
He thought it was easy here.
Yeah, he possibly could have gone back on. Imagine if that had grabbed the front wheel there in that slop and straight over the handlebars.
Yeah, so no time made there as we see Alexanderson moves back a little bit further again. So that gap back to 10 seconds behind the leader. As we look at our race leaders, that's Hansis, I think, the 274 machine, unfortunately, for him to go down. Oh, no, not Hansis, my apologies. Not sure which one that was. But, yeah, another rider that is having some issues getting around the track.
274, Oliver Paterno going down there and watching very closely here. Ryan Alexanderson on the screen at the moment. Positions stay how they are at the moment. This points chase has closed up dramatically going into that final race. But just as I say that, Caden Minia up to 11th place will be knocking on the door of top 10. But as you get closer to the top 10, Danny Ham, as we watch Alexanderson's bike step side to side, these riders are a little bit harder to pass. I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue for Caden Minia with his speed and prowess in this deep sand.
Liam Owens on screen, the 204, sits back there in 4th place. He sits just in front of Mather as they come up and over. Mather grabbing those roll-offs, trying to get some clear vision. One of the real challenges here, Lee Hogan, as you know as well, the vision with the sand on the goggles is so hard to get close to a rider to try and attack for a position without completely losing your vision.
Vision is so critical in the sand. If you can't see where you're going, it's so easy to make a mistake. And let's face it, it's hard enough just riding around by yourself on a track like this, let alone when you can't see what's going on. Mechanics getting their pit boards and messages out to their riders as they come through.
4 minutes left in this race of the Maxxis Tyres MX3 as they head towards the big double through Alpine Star turn. This double still proving quite a challenge for all of them, but they're doing it pretty smooth at the moment. You watch their technique coming up that up ramp lead, just keeping that back wheel on the ground to the very lip of the jump to make sure they get as much height as they can to get up and over it. As we have a look at the leaderboard on the left, 0.9 of a second between our leader first and second, so that has tightened up as well. As we see Owens there just diving into that corner. Alex Anderson, I think that is on screen, just bottom there, still sits there in third place, 12 seconds back. So really, not looking that comfortable at the moment.
Yeah, monster gap back there to third place. And great to see a couple of WA Sandgropers up there fighting for first and second place. Doing a great job for the Western Australians and also for their fellow Western Australian, Caden Minia, taking points from these Queenslanders. Alex Anderson back there in third place, Liam Owens in fourth, Jack Mather trying to make up some valuable points there in fifth place. Caden Minia finds himself 1 second back on Byron Dennis, the factory KTM Gas rider, in 10th place, and then only 1 second down the track, Ty Keane, a further second down the track, Fitzpatrick. They're all fairly close here, so if Caden Minia can get his act together, he can leapfrog quite a few riders.
As we just try and pick up where Caden is. There he is up the inside of
Made
Dennis.
the pass on Byron Dennis.
So another pass, another point, and that's all he needs to do. And you can see it a moment ago, those points just creeping higher and higher, that gap growing out as Alex Anderson still sits there at third. But this is the problem or the situation that Caden Minia could face. He needs to be reassured that everything is okay at the moment. You've lost some points in lead, but you've still got a handy lead. Don't do anything silly where you could end up on the ground again and then have to do it all over once again. Right now, he's in a comfortable position, I feel.
Well, he's such a brilliant sand rider, as you would imagine. He's brilliant on any surface, but in the sand, he's at his most comfortable. However, he is the kind of rider that, in the sand, looks like he's riding on the ragged edge a little bit. He doesn't look like, say, a Stefan Everts, who looks exceptionally smooth. So while he may look like he's about to throw it down on the ground, it is such a rare occasion that he does pivot down the track in these sandy conditions, which is why I was so surprised with that first lap crash.
So he sits there in 9th place at the moment as he works towards Fitzpatrick just there in front of him. There is Byron Dennis trying to pick up some lines as well after that pass that was made half a lap ago into the split section of the track.
Ty Keane on screen at the moment, the Ride Red Honda pilot who has found himself at the top step of the podium a couple of times this year, and not only in moto, has had some great overalls as well.
Look back to possibly our leaders. It is certainly right there, both riders. They are almost side by side across the finish line here. Still 8 minutes 50 to go in this moto, so Flynn has company up the front at the moment and has got to work for it into some lapped riders. Let's see how this one plays out. It's going to allow some different lines possibly going into this corner. Both our leaders following through there from the inside on a 250. That's a big effort.
Yeah, and I can only think from watching them yesterday and how much the 250s were struggling to get over that double, I can only think they've done a little bit of reshaping perhaps of the takeoff ramp to give a little bit more of a lift, because being made of sand and it develops its ruts and a little bit of a bump at top, it's so easy to change that takeoff ramp and how it kicks you up and over that landing ramp.
There's our leaders. Looked almost like Gilmore was looking to the inside just a moment ago. Right in the middle of the screen there are our two leaders as they work their way through some of the lapped riders. The blue flag's waving, allowing the lapped riders to know that the leaders are coming through, so hold your line, don't get in the way of this fantastic battle that is starting to develop right here.
So for the second round in a row, Miles Gilmore continuing to impress here. Likewise last weekend in the hard pack of QMP, and then now in the sand. Hails from Kalgoorlie in Western Australia, which is, yes, is a sand groper from WA, but Kalgoorlie is not sand. That's a very hard pack. It's not too far to the many deep sandy tracks that they have over in Western Australia.
Interesting just watching there just a moment ago as we look to the outside line here. Gilmore, can he swing around, keep that momentum going? It certainly looks like he's got good pace. Tries to go to the inside, not quite close enough at the moment. Big bounce off that braking bump. I was just about to say also that over those last couple of corners back there that Gilmore had pulled 3 tear-offs on, just trying to be close. And again, he certainly can't have that many on his goggles. That's probably 3 or 4 that I've seen him pull in that last half a lap. The beauty with these new tear-offs, of course, is that you can stack them pretty thick, but you are still limited, possibly maybe 21, maybe that might be as many as they can get on there. It's hard to know exactly what they're doing, but yeah, once you run out of those tear-offs, you're done. You've got to do something else.
Well, the beauty of tear-offs these days being the laminated ones, and they go on in a pack of 8. So essentially for a whole pack of 8, you look like you're only looking through 1 tear-off, as opposed to our day, Danny Ham, where 8 tear-offs look like you were looking through the bottom of a Coke bottle.
Wow, what a line up the inside here. Does he have the momentum, though, to hold on to it? Again, Gilmore around the outside. Can he make this one stick? Gets caught up high in the corner, but diving to the inside was Brock Flynn. Buried himself into that sand, and we have a new leader.
Yes, unfortunately for Flynn, those tyres got sucked in. It was almost washed all of his corner speed off, and not the case for Gilmore around the outside. A beautiful line, and he will take over that first place at the moment with just over 5 minutes plus a lap to go.
Taking a glance over to the leaderboard once again, we can see Minia still sits back there in 8th place. So, as you mentioned, the further you get up, the harder it is to make the passes as you get into the quicker riders. So he should be able to make maybe a couple more before this one's out, but I don't feel he's going to get right up there into our top 5. It's a bit of a gap, although they are pretty close. So there is still that chance. Oh, that bike bouncing all over the place for Gilmore through that part. And as you said, these riders that are so comfortable in the sand, it looks like they're out of control sometimes, but it's well within the comfort zone for them.
Yeah, some big mistakes there for Miles Gilmore, and that's allowed Brock Flynn to get right up onto the back of the fellow Western Australian as he tries to set up a pass here coming into turn number 2.
Looking to the outside here, it could be a good swing around here. The double could be key. As we saw that time around, actually both leaders getting the blue flag. It was a bit of a miss one there. Through that big long left-hand sweeper, and you can just see how many rolling whoops are developing. That was nice and flat when we turned up here this morning. It's just these riders getting around that is creating this. Flynn, though, good to see him bouncing back here, not giving up.
No, he's trying everything he can, and he's got some good alternative lines out there, not only keeping out of the roost, but also putting himself in a position that if Gilmore makes a mistake, he may be able to slot through into the lead. We have a look down quickly there at our 7th place for Caden Minia.
Yeah, so he managed to knock another one off and create some more points for himself. Look at this, Flynn around the outside, almost had the run into that corner. Especially when you get into these lap riders too, Lee, these alternative lines that he's got is going to possibly play to his advantage, knowing that there is some different options out there that he might not have seen in previous laps as we start to really get deep into these lap riders.
Looks like Miles Gilmore's got himself a little bit of a gap now over Brock Flynn, who may have made just a tiny mistake. They're threading the needle, trying to make their way through the lap riders here because, hey, a lot of the time these lap riders don't even know which way they're going to go through a section. They're kind of on autopilot, so you need to try to make your way past these riders and just pray that they don't take you out on the way through.
So as it sits at the moment, you can see the championship points bottom right of the screen, and this has been a brilliant rebound by Caden Minia and minimising the damage. How fast is Flynn there? He was like a second behind coming onto that straight. He now sits right on the back wheel once again.
Yeah, he's got that first turn dialed and elected to take the outside the lap prior in turn 2. This time decides to slot in behind Gilmore on turn 2, but just looks to have just that little bit more energy possibly at the moment. It just looks to me as if Gilmore is just trying to hang on here.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, sitting down in that turn. Over the bars.
A slow tuck at the front. It is dug in. He needs to try to get up and get going again. Has he kept that bike going?
18 seconds. Can he hold it? I think he has. Well, take a look at this. Watch the front wheel of Flynn on the outside here.
It's what we call knifing the front wheel. Tucks and straight over the handlebars. Slow motion crash there. Very easy to do. Some shoulder damage when you do that, but landing in the sand, obviously a little bit smoother, a little bit nicer than landing in the hard pack.
He did well to get up and recover straight away from that. So we'll have a look at those gaps now. But that has certainly taken a lot of pressure off Miles Gilmore, who we both thought was looking like he could be starting to run out of a little bit of energy. Again, only speculating. It just, the riding style certainly wasn't showing the aggression that we saw early to make that pass. I mean, he had to be aggressive. That would have taken some effort, some energy out of him to make the pass the way he did as well.
And of course, it was a huge counter-attack that we saw from Brock Flynn that ventured in the knifing of that front wheel in the deep sand and going over the handlebars. So another lap about to be put down by our race leader. Miles Gilmore comes through with just over 1 minute on the clock, Danny.
Yeah, so 2 laps to go in this one. I could guarantee there's a smile ear to ear on this rider as we look for our
6th place now.
Yeah, our other riders to come through. There was Flynn, I think that was just the left of screen up the top there on the 60, so still maintaining that 2nd position. And Ryan Alexanderson back there in 3rd place. As you mentioned there, 6th place for Minia. This is the story of the championship. That's why it's so important for us to track and keep an eye on that one. 4th place, of course, Liam Owens. Another great ride for him. As to Riley Fitzpatrick back there in 5th place. This track can be brutal.
So a very impressive charge from well outside of the top 30 for Caden Minia. Sees him currently in 6th place. He has leapfrogged the factory KTM rider of Jet Allsop, relegating him back to 7th place. However, to try to make his way up a further position to the top 5, as Riley Fitzpatrick holds down that 5th position at the moment, it's going to be a hard task, that's for sure. We are just about to count down to 0 as we speak. So the next time that Miles Gilmore comes past that checkered flag area, he will receive the 1 lap to go board.
It looked like Flynn was, a few laps prior to his crash, maybe taking a breather because he dropped back just that little bit. And then, as you said, created some new lines and mounted that attack. And it was looking solid too. I was thinking that there was certainly going to be a challenge for the lead, but that small mistake, unfortunately, will put him back there in 2nd with a distant 2nd too. But Moto number 2, take some confidence out of that, knowing that you've got that kind of speed. As we see our leader come across and collect the last lap ball. One more time around, he'll be picking up a win.
So 1 lap to go for Miles Gilmore here on MX3 Moto 1, thanks to Maxxis tyres. What a ride it has been from Miles Gilmore, doing a fantastic job of backing it up for the 2nd round in a row, just like he did last week at QMP. Fellow Western Australian Brock Flynn back there in 2nd place finds himself 15 seconds back now, and then a further 4 seconds back to Ryan Alexanderson, who really needed to take maximum points here if he was going to make the most or take advantage of the Minia mistake on lap 1.
Yeah, so what is it? I think it's 11 points difference at the moment. That could have been down to 5 or 6 or 7, a much lower number going into that last moto had Alexanderson won. Unfortunately, just wasn't able to take advantage of that.
Yeah, so currently 262 points for Ryan Alexanderson, Caden Minia 274. So I think we've stretched out just that 1 extra position. What do we find ourselves? I think 12-point gap.
Yep.
Going into that last one, it's a comfortable margin.
Yep.
But can't afford to be going down on lap 1 of Moto number 2.
No, that is certainly not the way to approach a championship title on the very last round where you've had such a solid year. But he has rebounded very well and moved himself up there into 6th place as we see our race leader, Miles Gilmore. The 18 machine has done everything right in this one. He has had to work for it, and work hard he's done, putting himself into the lead as he makes his way around the final couple of turns, through Thor turn there, then into this final straight.
Now, Danny, talk about a last lap charge. Caden Minia is 0.6 of a second behind Fitzpatrick, so we'll watch that and keep you updated. But crossing the line and a fist pump, well deserved. A little bit of head shake there with the one hand off, but great job for Miles Gilmore. And we just saw, we'll catch in a minute as we follow them through, that Caden Minia has made his way up to top 5. So talk about damage control.
Great moto for him. It certainly looked a little scary there for a moment, that deep in the field. As we see Liam Owens come across in their 4th place. There is the championship leader, and what a ride. 5th place, picking up some extremely valuable points.
Yeah, fantastic job there for Caden Minia, that's for sure. Miles Gilmore, he'll have to be absolutely stoked with that. Jet Allsop coming through on the factory KTM machine. Well, I must say, extremely impressed with Caden Minia and his fight from outside of the top 30 to come through to a top 5 position. No doubt would have had the crowd on the edge of their seat. Certainly had us on the edge of our seat here in commentary, Danny Ham, that's for sure. Ryan Alexanderson, he knows he needed to do more than that.
Let's take a look at the Maxxis Tyres MX3 Moto #1 results, of course. Miles Gilmore was your winner. Brock Flynn, Ryan Alexanderson, Liam Owens in 4th. Caden Minia did make through to 5th. Riley Fitzpatrick with another good ride. Jet Allsop also another one. Jack Mather with a great ride. Byron Dennis and Tyne Keane are your top 10.
Another great top 10 for Ty Keane on the Ride Red Honda. Kobe Drew on the Yamaha machine. Cooper Holroyd also Yamaha mounted. Kobe Hantis, Logan Denise and Giles Campbell.
Wow, what a way to start the MX3 races for today. As we take a look at the Honda highlights, and of course it was a great jump out by the 60 machine. A few riders in the back getting all tangled up, but it was a swing through that turn that allowed him to collect that whole shot award. Get another look at it here. Just a couple of riders there, unfortunate, collecting. And it was this moment here that put Minia in the lead. We thought that was it, but it only lasted a few metres until this moment.
He tried so hard to hold on to it, didn't he? It was the back end that stepped out, grabbed, kicked back the other way. Our eventual leader, Miles Gilmore, had to make a massive excursion off the track, but it was Brock Flynn, our early race leader.
Riders jostling for positions early on. Another tip over just there. We actually didn't see that. Was that Dennis possibly? I think that's his
Byron
helmet.
Dennis, yes.
Yep.
And here we see Caden Minia with his charge through the pack, relegating Byron Dennis back a spot. But the battle between 1st and 2nd erupted, and what a battle it was between Brock Flynn and Miles Gilmore, as Gilmore's bike was stepping out every section of the track.
Come on. Until this moment, Gilmore made the pass, and then unfortunate for Flynn on his counter charge. A mistake there put him on the ground as well. But it will be this man to collect the win in this moto. And Kate has our winners.
Ryan Alexanderson in P3 on the KTM. You missed the mayhem. Well done, and came through with the podium. Some really important championship points for you.
Yeah, no, I just tried to focus on my own race then. Tried to put a solid moto together. Started off a little bit too slow. The 2 lead boys sort of crept away a little bit in the first 10 minutes, but I felt it was a pretty strong ride, but we'll be back for Moto 2.
Well done.
Thank you.
And in P2, Brock Flynn, whole shot, well done, and quite a moment that you recovered from at the end there.
Yeah, I got off to a good start. I put myself in a good position to win, and just rode really tight, so pretty disappointed in that one. End up going down. Still 2nd, but I think I can ride a lot better, so look forward to the next moto.
Yeah, exactly. There's still time in Moto 2.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well done. And in P1, Miles Gilmore, great ride from you, excellent battles to watch.
Yeah, got off to a really great start, maybe top 5, and just snuck in the first corner, and then unfortunate Caden went down. Just followed Brock for maybe half the moto, and then tried to make a move, and I kind of pumped up a little bit, so settled down, tried to find a flow, and then luckily Brock went down, which gave me a little bit of breathing room. But yeah, all in all, really good moto. Just like to thank Bolt Everywhere, Sports Power, ProPlete Seats, my mum, my dad, Liam for changing my tyres, and MP Josh for everything he does, and thank you.
Well, it's your first win for the season, so you should be stoked to end the season this way.
Yes, I am.
Very well said, Miles Gilmore, and congratulations on your victory. Brock Flynn back there in 2nd place. The WA boys going 1-2. Let's take a look at the Maxxis Tyres Championship points. MX3 provisional. Caden Minia, 275 points. from Ryan Alexanderson, 262. The gap is out to 13 points now. Back to Jack Mather and 245.
Still pretty tight. It's not decided yet mathematically. There is still a big chance for any of these riders to change their positions before we close this championship out.
Well, once again, congratulations to Miles Gilmore on his moto victory, and well done to Caden Minia on damage control here in MX3. Quick little break here. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we've got a championship to hand out in the MX3 category.
Whatever your passion, ignite it with Autolite. AMX and Penrite have joined forces to give away the ultimate moto workshop valued at $5,000. You can set yourself up with the best from Penrite, NetPro, RHK, Motion Pro and much more. To enter, simply purchase any Penrite product at AMX Superstores, scan the code and you're in the draw to win. It's that easy. What are you waiting for? Rush in now to AMX for your chance to win. AMX Superstores, your one-stop shop for all motorcycle accessories, proudly supporting the 2022 Pro MX Series.
Penrite, a 100% Aussie company, pride themselves on their commitment to all forms of motorsport in Australia, from the very grassroots to competing and succeeding at the highest level. It's always been a big part of their DNA. And this real-world testbed for their products ensures the lubricants and fluids you buy for your vehicle have benefited from the development of being punished in a way that only competition can. Penrite, it competes, you win.
Welcome back to the Penrite Oils Pro MX Championships, brought to you by AMX Superstores. Right, we're about to go down to Kate. What do you got for us, Kate?
Yeah, I've got Charlie Cannon here, the leader of the MXW Championship right now. This is a pretty important race for you. How's the mindset going into this one?
I'm trying to stay pretty calm, hopefully get out, better start than my first moto. But yeah, get out, pick some smooth lines, and just me and my dad have had a bit of a game plan. I'm just working on a few things, so hopefully I can have a smart race and bring it home.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
Well, it's been a fantastic day yesterday. We saw the girls out on track, of course. Charlie Cannon has been exceptionally fast every time we've seen her out this year. But it wasn't all her own way yesterday, Lee, and I cannot wait to see this one play out once again today.
Now, a little bit of a mistake from Charlie Cannon on the starting gate yesterday, just before the drop of the gate. These clutches, they can heat up if you get your revs up a little bit too high and the clutch starts to grab a little bit. Grabbed it, she almost stalled it, nearly ran into the gate, had to pull the bike back. Of course, Murphy's Law, as you pull the bike back, the gate drops, and she completely missed the start. She was dead last into turn one. By the end of lap one, she was already up into third place, and then from there, it turned into a battle which erupted between her and her arch rival, Taylor McCutcheon. They bashed bars a couple of times. It ended up Cannon coming out on top, of course, with a big win. But I haven't seen anyone take it to Charlie quite like Taylor did yesterday. Could we see that again here?
I certainly hope so. They both went out in the warm-up this morning together, really pushing each other along in the practice to to see who was the quickest between them, and Taylor certainly looked like she was ready to take that fight to him. I was on track yesterday. I was pumped, and everyone I've spoken to was so pumped watching the girls and how they all rode yesterday. It was really, really good to see.
Fantastic to see. Well, the girls are about to get out onto their sight lap here. So while the girls do their sight lap, Kate got to catch up with Craig Dack.
Dack from CDR Yamaha Monster Energy. Craig, this is a big weekend for you as team owner. After a decade and a half coming into this weekend, how many motocross national championships do you have under your belt as wins?
Well, a lot more in the past, but over the decade and a half, there's 9. The recent one was last year with Luke Clout. So I've had a very, very good run with it over the years, obviously, and now we're looking down the barrel for another one, but still a lot of work in front of us before we get to that.
Yeah, well, taking that number into consideration and the fact that your only rider is leading the championship, Aaron Tanti, what do you say to him in this final round to prepare him for the pressure and also the onslaught of Hondas that he's probably going to have to deal with out there?
Yeah, well, the Honda has stacked the field, and I mean, that's their tactic, and he's the lone soldier here at Yamaha, so he's got a fair bit going on. You know, he's got a lot of weight on his shoulders, but he's still standing tall. So that's the main thing, is to keep him confident. I mean, he's been trending over the last 6 motos, like what he's gone 1, 1, 2, 2, and a 4th in there. So all things being equal, if he just keeps trending, keeps doing what he's been doing, you know, he needs a couple of 7th places if Ferris wins both motos. So it's a matter of just going through the process with him, staying confident and staying out of trouble.
Now, you've wrapped up quite a few championships here at Coolum. What's a memory that stands out to you?
There's been a lot of good ones, Kate, and there's been a lot of tension here at this round because this particular track, particularly the first turn, one, it's a right-hander, so you don't have as much control of the bike in a right-hander because you lose the back brake. And it's sandy, so a lot of things happen. To throw another dimension into there this year, we've got a full grid of 40 riders. Usually it's about 15 or 20 by this stage. So a lot of things that happened in the first turn. So good memories we really had here was Josh Coppins and Jay Marmont went into this last round at nearly equal points. It was a very weird feeling because Josh Coppins crashed, dislocated his shoulder, lost the championship, but our other teammate won it. So it was a bittersweet day, but still it was a very dramatic day.
Yeah, totally. All right, Dacker, well, good luck this weekend. We'll catch you on the start line.
Thanks, Kate.
Well, great little insight there from Craig Dack. And doesn't he seem cool, calm and collected at the moment? But I think something about race day today, Danny, he'll be feeling that intensity, those nerves. Wrapping up a championship, it doesn't matter if it's your first one or however many down the track he is at the moment, which is a lot. He's going to be feeling it.
The whole team rides the whole race, the whole day, the emotions, everything with the rider. So certainly there's going to be some nerves across the team. But as he mentioned, Aaron Tanti has been strong all year long. If you're a betting man, you know, he hasn't done too much wrong this year. He's in with a very good shot at getting this title by the end of the day. But there's plenty of guys still in the hunt, so it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out.
Can't wait to see how the MX1 plays out later on down the track. But talking about championships, we've got another one to hand out. And I tell you, it's going to be a brave person to bet against our championship points leader, Charlie Cannon, who has not dropped a moto so far in the championship campaign.
Well, the girls back to the start lines, getting set for their final ride for here at Coolum. Of course, they got a chance to get out there and do moto number 1 yesterday. The track has evolved a little bit since they were out there. They did get their warm-up this morning, but they did do the work also overnight on the track, and it was dead flat by the time they got here this morning. As we take a look at the easy lift MXW moto number 2 lineup, of course, Charlie Cannon on the number 7, Taylor McCutcheon back there, Megan Rutledge having a return ride here as well. Great to see her out there, Emma Milicevic and Madison Brown.
Maddie Healy there, Talia Drew, Amy Roberts, Danielle Foote, Amy Barch, and as you mentioned, Megan Rutledge, former multi-time champion, nearly won a world championship for us, Danny Ham. So good to see her come back and racing against the likes of our Charlie Cannons, our Taylor McCutcheons, and let's not forget, Megan Rutledge had a little baby. Yep. She has come back. She just has too much love for the sport of motocross to not get back out here and get amongst it. Trying to find a little bit of fitness, but she's doing exceptionally well.
I raced against her a couple of weeks ago at an East Coast round, and it was great just to see her back out there, to come here and be lined up and put the performance she did yesterday, watching her ride around. Exceptional effort, and I expect to see her give it another big charge here as we get set for the start of the Easy Lift MXW class, Moto number 2. 5-second board is up. Gates are ready to go down. Who will jump out first?
Oh, a beautiful jump this time from Charlie Cannon. She's trying to make amends from that disastrous start yesterday. And of course, right off the bat, Taylor McCutcheon trying to get there. And once again, they touch. These two are like a couple of magnets out there on the track.
Elbows up from his first straight. McCutcheon wanting to do it. Oh, big jump over. Almost makes the pass there as Charlie Cannon didn't quite get the launch around.
Okay, so Taylor McCutcheon is trying to make the most of these early stages where if you let Charlie Cannon ride off into the distance, this may be her last opportunity to try to keep tabs on Charlie Cannon. So we all know how aggressive she is, an animal is Taylor McCutcheon. She will not give in. She's a pocket rocket. She's so small on the bike, but she is so aggressive, and it's great to see somebody at least trying out there to keep up with Charlie Cannon. We've got some fantastic women out there racing at the moment. These girls are so strong. The Whole Shot Award, thanks to Penrite, of course, is Charlie Cannon.
The number 7 machine, they're working beautifully underneath her as they work their way through those first lot of rollers. And quite sharp little rollers they are. There is Taylor on the number 10 machine, has dropped back just a little bit in this early stage of this race. Up and over the sky jump just there into this left-hander. Through Pirelli turn goes our race leader. And up and over that tabletop, those ruts are just menacing at the top there.
Let's not forget how tricky this track is getting at the moment. Beautiful line there from Charlie Cannon. The inside, very rough. Outside, extremely rough. She found herself a middle line, which has developed. And that is half the battle out here in a sandy track like this, is being able to pick up on these new lines as they form. You can save yourself a lot of energy.
Emma Elizabeth there just going through bottom of the screen. She's in 3rd. There is Megan Rutledge back there in 4th place. Maddie Healy in 5th. And then Madison Brown on the 18 machine also coming through there. Very similar positions as what we saw yesterday. But there was good battles for 1st, 2nd, then 3rd, 4th, and then 5th and 6th. So they can still get together before this one's out. 12 minutes left in this moto. And the rest of the girls working their way around here. I would try to say enjoying this track, but it is so difficult just to make your way around.
Yeah, these women are doing such a fantastic job back on screen at the moment. Charlie Cannon, Yamaha supported rider. She is a star of the future for us, quite possibly on the world scale. She's got herself a guest ride over in Turkey to represent Australia and go and race the MXGP in the women's category, and I think she'll do really quite well over there, Danny.
I think so too. It's going to be a great experience for her to get over there and learn what it's about to be at such a high-level event, racing into another country. But you're right, I feel she is going to do probably better than a lot of people might think. She has certainly got the fitness, she puts in the effort, she's got great riding style, she's very aggressive on the bike. Certainly a star in the making.
Well, I think one of the biggest things for her is that being out of Queensland, and quite often they don't just have purely the women's class where she can take the easy way out and just race the women. And coming from the pedigree and the family that she's coming from, with her father, I know in particular, has always been a big advocate of popping her out in with the boys. Get in there, get amongst it, and that's what she gauges herself off for fitness, for lap time, speed, and for being able to finish these races off. She quite regularly wins the expert class in Queensland. So, you know, that's why when you get out here and you race against the rest of the girls, when you're used to racing against those expert boys, it gives her that extra level of not only speed but aggression.
And we saw just there her mechanic giving her the lap board on the way through. A 1:55 was her lap time. So her key for today would be lap after lap, getting those lap times that she's chasing, as we see a battle starting to build up here between Brown. Yeah, Rutledge.
All over the back of Megan Rutledge. Now, yesterday, Danny, we saw three lots of battles going on. We saw Charlie Cannon battling with Taylor McCutcheon. We saw Emma Milicevic battling with Megan Rutledge. And likewise, we saw both the Maddies, Maddie Healy and Maddie Brown, battling together, where this one we seem to have had a nice little charge from Maddie Brown, who has made that pass on Megan Rutledge. She's moved her way up into fourth, and she's trying to make her way up towards the head of the pack, falling into the bottom of those holes. All right, let's go down to Kate.
Just an update from Taylor McCutcheon's mechanic that fitness is something that they were really concentrating on. It could be an issue at this track because it's so exhausting, as Charlie is a local and she's had the experience and fitness to dominate this track, as you can see out there.
Not just that, she's sat out most of the year as well, Taylor McCutcheon, with an injury early on. So to come back with race fitness, we speak about it all the time. Just standard fitness is one thing, race fitness is a completely different story. So yeah, this is one of the toughest tracks to ride.
You're not only Taylor McCutcheon, but also Emma Milicevic, who had a couple of tears in her eyes yesterday just purely from pain. She is struggling, coming straight off the back of an injury that she didn't think she was going to be able to race. So she's out there toughing it out at the moment, doing a fantastic job. And both of those girls find themselves in second and third place. And also Honda mounted Maddie Brown back there in fourth, Megan Rutledge on the Kawasaki, and then another Honda back there in sixth place with Maddie Healy. Danielle Foote there in seventh place, local Victorian who we've heard lots about over the years. So great job from all of these girls, but a monstrous 11-second lead now that Charlie Cannon has managed to stretch over Taylor McCutcheon.
Madison Brown certainly looks a bit more comfortable today than she did yesterday, as she's moved, as you said, up those couple of positions. Sits there in fourth, so great to see a little bit of a in-swing and bounce there coming on to the start straight. That is Meg Rutledge right there on the 66. So a big effort for her to be here racing it this weekend. Spent quite a lot of time off the bike, now with family, so great to see the return of her here at one of the toughest tracks, as we said. And believe me, I came here a few years ago to have a fun ride, and I basically left in tears myself. I really made myself look stupid, so I know the difficulties of this track and the mental strength that is required just to compete at this level. And believe me, it is tough out there the way it is right now.
Well, really quite impressed with our fifth place rider, Megan Rutledge, at the moment, who looking very similar to yesterday. There's been a couple of times where I looked at her and I thought with the body language, she is done. She's had enough and she's just going to ride this thing in. And then you look at her the next lap and she just looks like she's, at her best. This is not what we want from Emma Milicevic. Hopefully she hasn't re-injured that shoulder, but her leg was stuck under the bike, and she, of course, was our third place rider. So how many people have been able to get up and past her at the moment, and how will that play out in the overall podium here?
Yeah, so we'll pick that up as they go across the split sections. We should see it very soon on our timing screen as to where she sits now after that one. She did have herself a little bit of a lead over Madison Brown, but we saw her on ground for a while. So yeah, there we go, third, fourth, back to fifth at the moment. Whether she stayed up in front of Maddie Healy.
And now she's gone back again even further. I was going to say, when she was in fifth place ahead of Maddie Healy, as it was saying, we had three riders that were on 36 points. So currently at the moment, we have two riders, Maddie Brown and Megan Rutledge, equal on points. So whether the pit area, whether her mechanic, Megan Rutledge, can perhaps get that information through to her, Megan Rutledge will need to make that pass back on Maddie Brown if she wants to take that third spot on the podium.
Big effort to try and do that, but she's still right there.
Still in there.
Yep. And you're right. I thought the same thing watching yesterday. That, she looked like she might have been getting a little bit tight. And as we said, it's a tough track. She took it to the absolute checkered flag yesterday. There was a limiter out of the last turn. Her bike was revving so hard all the way to the checkered flag. So she did not give up one single bit.
As we call it, it's leaving it all out there on the track is how they say it. When you come back in, you don't want to be coming in and going, I've still got 10% fitness left. You want to leave every bit you've got out there on the track, and especially when you find yourself in a predicament like this. I guarantee you, with how much of a fighter Megan Rutledge is, if she was to come back in and then to find out she finished equal points with Maddie Brown, all she had to do was get back in front. She would have got herself back on the podium in her return race, her first race back after giving birth. And then what a fantastic job it will be. Needless to say, whether she ends up on the podium or not, she should be extremely proud of her efforts here.
That back part of the track, yeah, as we look at those provisional points as they stand. So, of course, Charlie Cannon with 150 over Emma Milicevic, 122, Madison Brown, 116. So as they sit at the moment, it looks like this championship should be getting sorted out. And we'll have some clear results for the overall.
Yeah, fantastic ride. Having not put a foot wrong throughout this whole championship campaign, Charlie Cannon, Factory Yamaha supported rider out of Queensland, staring down the barrel of another win and wrapping up the championship here with only 4 minutes plus a lap left to go in this race, the Easy Lift Moto 2 for the MXW class.
Look at the track, Lee, how beat up it's getting already. This part of the track, as we said earlier on, is one of the toughest parts at the end of a moto, trying to get through that left-hander, those rolling whoops. All of a sudden turn into these really square-edged, sharp bumps as well, and makes it very hard to get through there as we move back to our race leader, who seems to be doing it quite comfortably and not too fazed by these rolling whoops. As we said, a lot of laps done around here for Charlie Cannon, and you can see the comfort level that you get with these riders that do get to ride this stuff all the time.
Yeah, she looks so comfortable here, but you know what? She's looked comfortable at every single track I've seen her on throughout the year. She enjoys hard pack, she enjoys the sand, she enjoys winning.
And she does it well. We see a lead of 21.7 seconds in this one, so really stretched it out. That Yamaha is a pretty special bike as well. She's certainly got some solid support from Yamaha, getting her to the position that she's in and to the opportunity that she is going to soon receive by going overseas and working on those dreams as well of racing overseas, keeping that front wheel nice and light. It's as we mentioned, Lee, it's a different style of riding. Keeping that front wheel nice and light is a key thing in the sand.
It sure is, and as we saw in an earlier MX3 race with Brock Flynn, the Western Australian, going over the handlebars, quite often the back wheel will be able to drive through these sandy whoops. The moment you let that front touch down on an up face of some of this sand, it's an instant ticket straight over the handlebars, as we witnessed earlier on. So no problems whatsoever for Charlie Cannon. She rides this stuff very well. As we could see there, front wheel exceptionally light and just touching the top of those sand rollers. It's these nasty sharp edge bumps that bite you every now and then here at Coolum, because you look at the track at the moment, we can see there how rapidly that suspension's moving on some of those sharp little braking bumps coming into that corner, and then just as quickly we're back into deep sand once again.
The bike working well underneath her as we take another look at this drone shot through the Maxxis right-hand turn. That lead stretching out yet another 2 seconds over McCutcheon back there in second place. Brown still holding down third, Rutledge fourth, Healy in fifth, Milicevic back there in sixth. She did go back behind Danielle Foote there in seventh, but made that pass back a few laps ago. So up and going again, a good rebound, but unfortunate for her. I know that she would love to have stayed in that position she was in third place, and get herself another great result. But these little tip overs are all too common in the sand.
And I tell you what, Danny, the Yamaha crew, Scott Bishop and all of Charlie Cannon's team must be so proud of her and so happy to have included her. This is the first year that I can remember that a women's racer has been included as almost an official part of one of the manufacturer's factory-backed teams. And I'm talking, this girl's got some very special. Have a look at the suspension, those forks there. You don't find them on a production bike.
1 minute to go in this, so she will have 2 more laps to complete for this one to close out her championship for this year, and it is certainly looking like it is going to go down to a victory in this one, where she will pick up 6 points in total on the day as it stands at the moment on the second place. and 14 points on any of the riders that are actually in contention for that championship. A little moment just there. Good to see that she picked up on that. Didn't quite get through those rollers nice and smooth early on in that one, and that's one thing that can happen, Lee, with these. You make a mistake early in these rollers in a big section, and that can just magnify into something so much bigger by the time you get to that 7th or 8th roller, especially going through the turns.
Absolutely. It can snowball out of control very, very quickly. Quick little recap on our 2nd through 5th. Taylor McCutcheon 25 seconds back, but a further 51 seconds back to Maddie Brown, who will hold on to that 3rd place on the podium. Fantastic job. Still only 5 seconds back from there, though. Megan Rutledge has not thrown in the towel. A great job for her and her return to racing. Emma Milicevic 8 seconds back from Megan Rutledge. And then we find Maddie Healy back there in 6th place.
So that pass just happened over that last lap for Emma Milicevic, getting up there in front of Maddie Healy. So still moving forwards, 8 seconds back from Rutledge. That could be a bit too much to ask for in this race, with only, well, she's only probably got about 1.5 laps to go now, as we see our leader moving towards the finish line through the Penrite turn just here. Charlie Cannon still looking so strong at the moment. Works their way down these final straights before bouncing onto the finish line straight and collecting that last lap board. Yeah, front wheel just almost tucked there, but turned into something so beautiful to watch. It just floated over the top of that and landed in the perfect position going into that next roller.
So much finesse from this girl. Well, last lap board has come out now for Charlie Cannon. 1 lap to go here for the MXW Moto number 2, thanks to Easy Lift, as Charlie Cannon sets off towards that checkered flag. She's got a solid 27-second lead over Taylor McCutcheon, back there in 2nd place.
Yeah, McCutcheon has done a stellar effort just to try and battle it out. I would love to have seen that battle continue that we saw yesterday. It was absolutely epic to watch between them two. And as we saw off the very start of this one, Taylor McCutcheon was ready to fight for that one. She was ready to throw it up there. And that's what we saw multiple times yesterday in that first moto. These two traded elbows so many times. As our race leader needs to negotiate that fallen rider. Gets past there no problem, and only half a lap to go before she'll be crowned champion.
You're exactly right, Danny. It's something over the years. I've been fortunate enough, as these girls were juniors coming through. I remember national junior titles over at Penguin in Tasmania. I remember Aussie juniors at Gilman in South Australia. These girls every year, year in, year out. Yes, it would be Charlie Cannon. She basically won every single Aussie junior title. But she had some amazing battles, not only with Taylor McCutcheon, but Taylor Thompson, who we find not here at the moment. She's another big name in the women's motocross circles. And also, of course, we have Maddie Healy in there battling with these girls quite often up there on the podium. But wow, did we see some battles and some bar bashing between Charlie Cannon and Taylor McCutcheon. Out of the right-hander, and she'll make her way down towards the final chicane for the last time. This very treacherous part of the track, but no problem whatsoever. Beautiful poetry in motion for the number 7 machine. She's got the red background for good reason. What a ride. Your champion for the Easy Lift MXW class for 2022. Take a bow, Charlie Cannon.
What a year watching this girl just develop further with her riding. It's been great to see how fast she is on the track, and really excited to see how she does when she heads overseas to compete against some of the world's best women riders. I'm certainly expecting some good results out of her. As we see in 2nd place coming across the line just there, it was Taylor McCutcheon on the number 10 machine. Another good ride for her as well. Great to see her back in the championship circuit as well after that injury.
Well-deserved round of applause from sponsors, friends, family, and of course the fans here at Coolum Raceway in Queensland's Sunshine Coast. There we see it. The number 1 plate held aloft by Charlie Cannon. Goggles off. Let's have a look in those eyes. She's ecstatic. but it's almost expected. I mean, it's such a fantastic job. Really was in an absolute league of her own.
Yeah, great to see. The number one already there for her as our next places come into the podium as well. Great to see. As we head down to Kate with our winner.
Yes, I've got Charlie Cannon here. You are the official winner of the MXW class. You are a ProMX champion. Congratulations on the Yamalube Yamaha. Tell us about how hard it was this year, how much hard work went into it for you, and can you please take your helmet off so that we can properly hear you? Excellent, okay. Tell us about the hard work that went into coming and arriving at this day.
Yeah, a lot of hard work went into the pre-season last year. I've been training hard with Ford Dal and been able to keep my race pace throughout the whole moto, and I reckon that definitely helped me get the overall championship. But yeah, put down the work, and I'm just so stoked to be able to get the overall for my first year in senior.
And how does it feel to know that thousands of little girls are watching you thinking one day I'm going to be as fast as Charlie Cannon?
It's a good feeling. Little girls have been coming up to me under the truck, and I was them a few years ago, so for me to be able to be like an idol to them, it means a lot. It's really cool.
And this is some pretty important momentum to carry through to Turkey, where you're going to go over and compete in the MXGP.
Yeah, it's definitely boosted my confidence. I head over to Turkey in a week and a half, so I'm very excited for that.
Well done. Is everybody excited to see Charlie win this championship? The crowd here is massive. You've got so many friends and family here. This must feel so fantastic. Well done. You need to go and celebrate.
Thank you. I will.
Well, what a moment there for Charlie Cannon, and captured, of course, fantastically well by Kate Peck. Thank you. At number 7 with the red background there. Well deserved. And Taylor McCutcheon there in second place. But it is celebration time for our freshly crowned national champion, Danny Ham.
What a way to finish out the season for her, and the way to head overseas. Just great to have the girls here really putting it to on such a big performance out there as well, to actually witness it as being something special.
Absolutely, and good to see the three girls up there together. Taylor McCutcheon there on the left. We can see Charlie Cannon in the middle, and Maddie Brown there on the podium with third place there. Well-deserved third place for Maddie Brown after doing it a little bit tough yesterday, that's for sure. But all smiles for our national champion, the winner of the Penrite ProMX National Championship, brought to you by AMX Superstores in the MXW class. And then we see Mark Luksic there. He is the owner of Easy Lift, our naming rights sponsor for this class. So big thanks to Mark there for supporting women's racing.
Great scenes here. Fantastic to see the fans out, really enjoying this. But let's head back down to Kate, who's got Scott Bishop.
Yeah, Scott, you are the motorsport manager at Yamaha. This must be such a huge win for you as a company, but in terms of women's racing, it's really paid off.
Oh yeah, no, we love women's racing. We've been in active involvement with women's racing for a long time, and to have an ambassador and a rider like Charlie's just been amazing. You know, she's great on the track, and she's even better off the track. So for us, we couldn't be prouder.
And what does this mean, do you think, for women's racing in the future with Yamaha?
Well, we're going to keep going. Let's do it. You know, so she's proven what we can do. You can see the crowd here now. It's pretty amazing, isn't it? So we'll keep investing and we'll keep growing it as you will and MA. So let's make it better for everybody.
Great, thanks, Scott. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, great words there from Scott Bishop, former racer, motocross and supercross racer back in our day, Danny Ham, and of course he has climbed the tree at Yamaha to the very top, overseeing everything that we see at the racetrack.
Fantastic to have him in that role, overseeing, as you said, and supporting all of their riders. I think they've got themselves a fantastic guy there. He's got a lot of knowledge behind him, as you said. He's done many years of racing when we were back racing, travelling around, so certainly knows his stuff when it comes to motocross and what's involved with riders.
And very cool, the glove there with the number 1 on it for Charlie Cannon as she holds aloft that number 1 plate for the MXW. Well, thanks so much for joining us during our live stream of Coolum's final round of the Penrite Oils ProMX Championship, brought to you by AMX Superstores. Be sure to tune back in 12 p.m. sharp on SBS, Stan or Sky Sports New Zealand as we bring you this afternoon's action live and crown our remaining champions.